Hello everyone, and welcome to another video in my series of reforming the faiths of Crusader Kings 2. I am so excited, guys, because we finally have the big announcement, the release date for Holy Fury, November 13th, and that is in less than a month. And so, with that said, we need to get right into continuing the series of reforming all of the faiths, so let us not waste any more time on introductions or shenanigans. Let us get right into it. After the Poland patch in Europa Universalis 4, I set about reforming the Mongol Empire, and after doing that and having accomplished it, I felt like I needed to bring those same horde skills here into Crusader Kings 2. And so, the next religion that we will be reforming will be the Tengri Faith. And by far the easiest way to do that is with this nation right here, Khazaria. They are already sitting on top of two of the holy sites that are needed, and the third one is very close by, with actually a fourth one relatively within range. This one looks to be a fairly easy faith to reform. So we are going to jump right into it and do what we can to bring the Mongol hordes into the forefront. As far as the rules go, I don't see a whole lot in here that really needs changing, except my personal favorites as always. No secret religious cults, no devil worshippers because realism. Defensive pacts we're going to turn off as always, and then everything else seems to be good. I'm going to leave on all of the Nomad rules for instability and whatnot, because I think that would make it more fun. And as always, make sure that Iron Man mode is clicked and checked, because you are all, as I have stated before, professional Crusader Kings players, and it is shameful for you to play on anything but Iron Man mode. Let us begin. Alright, and just looking at our political situation here, I can see that we start out with a tributary right here that we'll be able to call into wars. And it's also a good buffer against some of the powers here in the east. Our moral authority situation is not looking to be the best right now, and that's simply because we don't have any temple holdings built on any of our holy sites. That's something that's going to be changed relatively quickly, and that's because we're horse nomads. We can just raid the ever-living daylights out of all of our neighbors, especially the Byzantine Empire, and we're going to take great joy in taking all of their booties and loots. Alright, the stats on our ruler could be better, that's saying the least. We are intricate web weaver. Our military martial stat is below 10, which is going to be meh. A couple of our traits are fairly good, so that's not bad. And we start out with an heir. Our heir who is significantly better than we are. So we can only hope that Mr. Kagan Bakhtur quickly goes to meet Tengri in the sky. So this video is going to be a lot different than my previous Reformation videos, where I reformed the Germanic and the Slavic faith, which you can also find on my YouTube channel. And that's because we're starting out as a nomadic nation. These are going to play a lot differently than tribal nations. The first thing, and the thing that I am most heartbroken over losing, is our ability to raise up 2,500 troops for the cost of 500 prestige. That's a mechanic that is very easy to abuse in order to become a powerhouse very quickly. However, we get something very similar to that in that we can raise horde troops using prestige, so it's a decent trade-off. We'll be able to raise up armies of light cavalry and light cavalry with horse archers for simple low costs of prestige here, and for some of the more advanced regiments a little bit of gold. As we can see here, we already start out with 750 troops. We're going to go ahead and increase those numbers as best as we can. I'm going to go ahead and get one more regiment of them there. And as you can see, they raise up fairly quickly. It's one click and boom, you have an army. One of the other things that you'll notice is the new resources at the top of our screen here. We actually have manpower, very similar to that in Europa Universalis. And we have population, which is something that I wish was in Europa Universalis. Manpower acts in much the same way that you would expect. Manpower allows you to raise more horde levies here. Every time you do that, your manpower is going to go down. And your manpower regrowth rate is going to be based on your population. which is based on how many provinces you personally hold in your kingdom. Another thing that you'll notice is that the demesne limit, the domain limit, as someone corrected me, is actually not here at all, because it is based instead on the clans mechanic of the horse nomads. And the way that this works is that you as a ruler can only hold so much territory before your other lords begin to get restless and want to demand more control of more land and territory for their own. So as of right now, the clan sentiment is not the best, but it could be worse. The main reason why they don't like us very much is because we are very low on prestige, because we did just raise a couple of troops up. But being the same faith, they are relatively stable. They all have their own populations here as well, and it gives a quick breakdown of what lands these individual clans own. So the largest clan that exists right now is this guy right here, Simsam. We want to make sure that because he's got the biggest population and the most land, that we either befriend him or dismantle him. With these new clan mechanics, there are ways to interact with the clans in order to either make them more subservient to your rule or to antagonize them. One of these ways is to form a blood oath, which basically is like a really powerful alliance that lasts for the lifetime of your ruler. We also have the ability to absorb and split the clans up. Absorbing clans takes an existing clan and helps incorporate some of their land into your realm, and splitting a clan does exactly what it says, it splits the clan up, which is something that we might be doing to Mr. Buckhall here. One last thing to note about playing a horse nomad is our capital is very important. So as we can see here, we can take a look at my land by pressing E, going to diplomatic relations and looking at all the light green land. This is all land that I personally own. It's really important to have counties with lots of holdings. The more empty holding slots there are in a county for a horse nomad, the better your population mechanic is going to be affected. So that is something to take note of. And finally, the capital for a horse nomad is much different than it is for any of the other nations. For one, we are able to move it to different locations much more quickly than we could if we were a tribal or a feudal nation. And they do that to represent the idea that we are a nomadic nation. We are moving about from one place to another. So I could take my capital right here and move it to another province, say right here. It says here that we would not be able to move it again for another 120 months, so a simple 10-year cooldown rather than the once per lifetime requirement of a normal nation. Also to note is that there are many new types of buildings that we can build inside of the capital. Each of them ranging from things that increase our combat ability to things that increase our tax and population growth. So the most important thing at the beginning of the game, in my opinion, is going to be population growth and morale of armies. So we want our men to be as strong as possible, and we want to have as many of them as possible. So with that said, I'm going to immediately start building a wrestling pit so that my armies can be in tip-top shape for taking on all of our neighbors. Let's go ahead and set up our counselors. One thing that you'll see here is that the Chancellor has a different type of mechanic called Improved Clan Sentiment, which does exactly as you would imagine it to do. It takes the clan sentiment and makes it higher for you. That way it can prevent them from splitting off and forming their own clans. And so I'm going to keep them on Perform Statecraft for now. I think that our sentiment is pretty good at the moment. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and leave this guy as my military counselor, even though I don't usually like the look of only a 5 stat military man, but it's okay. I don't want to start any sort of drama here. We'll go ahead and study technology on Constantinople. And I'll leave Hunt Apostate so I can get a little bit of monthly piety. As far as my steward goes, I'm going to have him oversee construction in the capital. That way I can push out as many buildings as quickly as humanly possible. So the first thing that I want to do here is I want to start raiding some of the lands here along our border in order to increase our prestige and our piety. I want to get those as high as possible. Also, we are absolutely broke and we have horrible income, so we need to start raiding the ever-living daylights out of everyone around us. As with my previous videos, I do not want to bore all of you with the mundane combat of the game. There's nothing really too spectacular to it. So I will be skipping past all of the combat, all of the raiding, and will only highlight the most important and critical things that you guys need to see so that it will increase your chances of reforming the faith. So right upon unpausing the game, I was immediately holy warred by one of the vassals of the Byzantine Empire down here, who happens to be your grandson. This should only take a little bit of work to go ahead and rout this guy's army. It is going to be a good thing that we're going to win this war because, one, we are going to get a boatload of cash, which is going to be fantastic, but it's also going to raise our moral authority for 20 years, which is also very, very good. One last thing that I forgot to mention before is I'm actually going to take the business focus here because I want to generate as much gold as possible. Being that I am older, there's not a whole lot that I'm going to be able to do to make use of any of the other mechanics very well, and so I want to see if I can squeeze out as much cash as I can before I finally croak. Handily winning this war. Beautiful. Don't mess with the Khazars. My wrestling pit just finished, and I'm going to go ahead and start focusing on some of my other buildings here, just taking a look to see which ones would work best for my situation, and it seems like to me I want to increase my military power as much as possible to contend with all of my neighbors, especially the Byzantines, and since they're declaring war on me, so I will be going ahead and getting a horse breeder. I want to focus on military for now. Here's the event that I was looking for. I can go ahead and debase the mints with less precious metals for profit, and not only get greedy, but 100 gold and 100 prestige. Very nice. We handily won that war against the Byzantines. Give me your gold, and give me your moral authority. With that, we actually have enough gold to build one of our holy sites up. So let's go ahead and look for one of them right now. Looks like our capital has a holy site. Well, don't mind if I do. One thing that just happened that I'm not so happy about is my heir with awesome military stats just got set to not be the next ruler because this guy right here has more prestige than him. That's simply not going to do because his stats are absolute hot garbage. So it's time for him to meet Tengri. My first temple holding in my capital was able to finish, bringing our moral authority up significantly. This is the first in a string of things that we're going to need to do to keep our moral authority up. If you'll notice here, we are failing county conquests and losing holy wars as a religion, which is obviously not ideal. We're going to have to do quite a bit of work to keep that moral authority up, namely raiding the Byzantine Empire and some of our other neighbors here, and gaining control of as many holy sites to build temples as possible. In order to help make wars a little bit easier, I actually am creating tributaries out of my nearest neighbors here, because one, I do want to get that little bit of extra income, but mainly because I want to be able to call in these great armies to be able to assist us in our wars with our neighbors. Alright, and with this we have made tributaries out of Mordva up here, out of the future Hungarians here, and out of this little derp here who split off from my last tributary. Now it's time to really focus our efforts on gaining control of the holy sites here in our east. The two holy sites that we need to control are this province right here, and this province right here. There's also another one way up here in the north, but that one's going to be irrelevant. One thing that you'll notice very, very quickly when fighting your horse nomad neighbors is all you have to do to win wars is siege down the couple little capitals that their clans have, and they will immediately surrender their wars. As we can see here, it's not taking very much effort at all on my part to siege down their holdings here, and the wars are being won handily. One thing that you can keep a watch out for are revolts by the Byzantine Empire. This essentially cuts down their manpower pool significantly while they're fighting the wars and distracts their armies, so I can sweep in here with my army and do light raiding along their border provinces. So as we can see here, I'll be able to handily raid down this entire province, not only getting a buttload of gold, but also securing myself some very valuable moral authority. One thing that I want to show you guys is that take a look at my clan sentiment. From winning all of those tributary wars, I have managed to increase that dramatically. Look at that. One tributary war modifier plus 40 to clan sentiment. So if you see that your nations are beginning to become restless and you need to get their sentiment up, just declare a tributary war against one of the miners around you, and that will be sure to get that up very quickly. And after raiding the Byzantine lands, I have enough gold to build yet another temple on the second holy site. That's going to increase my moral authority again by a nice large margin, so now we really have to start declaring wars against the guys here in the east. Alright, my leader has been killed, and unfortunately I did become the less than valuable ruler. So that is okay, so you guys can see how I can take a less than valuable start and make it something worthwhile. We're going to open this up by trying to get rid of that tough soldier trait and get it to be as high as possible, hopefully leading up to a brilliant strategist. We will choose the war path. We can easily get married here to fulfill this ambition, so let's go ahead and sort by something that is valuable. Martial, once again, because we want to become as strong as possible. And there are some valuable people here. Let's see. Quicker genius. I'm going to go for the genius. She is a little bit younger, but that's okay. And with my ruler dead, that means my truce with this guy right here is up, so we can go ahead and continue declaring our wars on them. One thing to keep an eye out for up here in the steppes is look for declarations of independence wars. Those are very, very valuable up here because it'll allow you to go around truce timers to declare war on the miners to snag their land before their lords are able to come crashing down on top of them. I was just able to win this province in a war because just this one province declared independence against the guy I just went to war with, and I was able to take the province for free. Winning these wars is honestly so easy. This is probably, without a doubt, the easiest faith to reform starting as Khazaria, because the battles with horse nomads is just so easy to win. All you have to do is siege down one or two holdings and go around their army and boom. Win, 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 win. Just can't stop winning. I'm going to be a bit ballsy here and declare war against one of the tributaries of the Abbasid Empire. They are, as usual, fairly strong. However, I feel like with all of the tributaries and all the vassals that I have, I should be able to blitz this war and win before it becomes a major issue. Yeah, I'd say we're doing fine. I probably should have made this a subjugate war. And we won the war before the Abbasids even showed up. Nice. So now that we've captured this county, we'll be able to start raiding some of the valuable Persian land here. One thing that is for sure is we are going to want to raise every single one of these holdings. Pillage them down to the ground. This is going to give us fantastic opportunities to gain some much valuable gold. Sweet, sweet moolah. One thing that all of this pillaging and raiding has done for us is give us lots and lots of juicy, juicy captives. Ransom as many of them as possible. 204 gold for 10 ransoms? Yes, please. Uh-oh. And with that, my ruler has the Great Pox. So we will see how long I'm able to survive with this. I should be okay and in a good position even if I do end up dying. I will go ahead and take as many concubines as I can right now though, so I can increase my chances of having another heir, just in case some really bad shenanigans happen. Take as many lustful young girls as possible. Alright, no more lustful, and so I will go for the Grey Eminence. Alright, now that we are nearing our ability to declare war on these guys again and secure all of the holy sites we need to start generating some piety. And so, since this character is rather impious, we are going to make sure that we take the theological focus here to try to boost up that piety as much as possible, as well as declaring any conquest wars, county conquest wars along our borders here. Each one is going to give us a nice sum of, I believe, 50 piety? 50 piety. Alright, and with that war won, we have another holy site under our control. We're going to go ahead and build a temple holding there. And with that, we do actually have enough holy sites in order to reform the faith. Now all we have to do is get our moral authority up and increase our piety, and we will have it. Alright, one last war for a holy site, and we will control 4 of the Tengri holy sites. This is fantastic because our moral authority is very, very high right now, and when we finish the temple holding in this province, we will be above 50. That one will put us above 55. We will be in a very comfortable spot. Now we just got to work on that piety. One way that you can kind of generate piety, it is very slow, but you can take individuals of your same faith and release them from your prison, and as you will see, your piety goes up ever so slightly. Gives you 5 points every time you do that. So again, look for those of your own faith and release them. Sell the rest. And with that war won, let us begin the construction of the last temple that we need. I'm going to place my steward on top of there to oversee construction to increase the build speed, and still cranking out that piety. We are so close I can almost taste it. And with a luckily timed Nestorian revolt put down in this province, as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally met all the requirements to form the Tengri Faith. We have 58 moral authority, we have 898 piety, we are in a fantastic position to continue playing this game. Let me click this glorious button. There we go. Hadn't even finished our temple holding over in Tobal yet. With that, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as click that bell button in order to know when my next video will go live. As always, if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know down in the comments section below. I will be sure to get to as many of them as humanly possible. Also, give me some criticism, guys. Tell me what kind of things you think that I'm doing right and the sort of things that I am doing wrong. And obviously, let me know which faith you want me to reform next. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye.